Hello Ace, this is RetroTK2 and today you'll learn all about loops. We'll take a look at what a loop is. Then I'll show you how to declare a while loop. After that I'll show you how to declare a do while and a for loop. And finally I'll show you the Foreach loop. If this is your first ever C# video, I'd strongly suggest watching the series from the start. The card should be on your screen now. And if you haven't already, I'd advise downloading the channel files that accompany this video. The card should be on your screen once again. So let's get started. What are loops? According to MSDN, a loop is a statement or set of statements that are repeated for a specified number of times or until some condition is met. The type of loop you use depends on your programming task or your personal coding preference. There are 4 different types of loops in C#. Foreach loops, for loops, while loops, and do while loops. Let's have a look at these in action. Open up Unity and create a basic C# script. As always, make sure you give your script a different name than any other class in your project. We are going to check out the while loop first. To declare a while loop, type out the while keyword, and then open your brackets. Our while loop will continue to repeat our statement while a certain condition is true. Here I'm simply going to type out false into the brackets so that the condition is never true and the loop will instantly exit. Close your brackets after you've declared the condition and then open and close your curly braces. Feel free to put whatever you want inside these brackets here, so I'm going to log out the string while loop. This code will continue to loop as long as the while's condition is true. Save, head back into Unity, drag our script onto any game object in our scene and run the game. And you'll see that nothing is logged since our while loop's condition is always false. For this next part, I'd advise you not to copy my actions Ace. Here I'm changing the while's condition to always be true. This means that our code will never exit this loop, and so our program will more than likely freeze Unity. This is called an infinite loop, and it's one of the main reasons why I shy away from using while loops. If I save, head back into Unity, and run the game, you'll see that our game never gets the chance to even start Ace. That's because our code is trapped inside the infinite while loop we just created. This code is so potent that I can't even close Unity using conventional methods. The X at the top of the Unity window is unresponsive. To close Unity, I need to bring up the task manager by pressing Ctrl, Shift and Escape. Right click on the Unity editor and click End Task. And then restart Unity. We need to add a condition so that our code will exit. Here I'm adding in a variable called number. Giving our while condition number less than 50, and then incrementing number by 1 at the end of our loop. Save, head back into Unity, and rerun the game. And hey, our console is flooded with the while loop log. Pressing collapse on the console window, we can see that 50 of these logs occurred. 50, eh? That's the exact number we used in our conditional Ace. I love it when a plan comes together. Now we'll move on to the do while loop. This one is very similar to the while loop and really only differs in its syntax. Type out the do keyword first and then open our curly braces Ace. Once again, feel free to put whatever you like into these curly braces. I'm quite happy to log out the string do loop. After our closing curly brace, we have to type out the while keyword and give it a condition just like before. And we top the whole thing off with a semicolon. I'm also going to reset our number variable and increment it by 1 inside our do while loop. You can see how similar the while loop is to the do while loop Ace. It's essentially a while loop flipped on its head. The do while loop can also get caught in an infinite loop as well, so be wary of that. Save, head back into Unity, and rerun. And you'll see that the do loop is logged 50 times. Easy peasy Ace. All well and good, but let's check out the for loop. A for loop is very similar to the loops we've just created. To start with, we type out the keyword for and open our brackets. After that, we get the opportunity to initialize our number variable, or we could decide to create a completely new variable and initialize that one instead. Here I'm creating a double variable called I and initializing it with the value 0. One other interesting thing here is that you can declare more variables inside the for loop scope of the same type by adding a comma after your initial variable initialization. So if I wanted to, I can declare another variable called x and initialize it here too. Just something to think about, I guess. Close the statement off with a semicolon. Now we begin the second part of the for statement. This is a condition that has to be true in order for our loop to finish yes. So immediately you can see it's very like a while loop, except that the condition has to be false in order to continue looping. Normally you'll use the variable we've just created in this conditional statement is. Here I'm typing out I less than 50 and closing the statement with a semicolon. We can also add in our double ampersands and check our newly created x variable's value also. After all that conditional fun, we get the chance to perform calculations on our variables in order to change them after each loop. Here I'm simply going to increment I by 1, but I'm going to add 2 to our x variable. When all that's done, close it with a bracket and open and close our curly braces. As always feel free to put whatever you want into these curly braces. Here I'm going to log out for loop and the value of our x variable. Save, head back into Unity, and rerun the game. And wow, our console is flooded with the value of x, and the for loop is logged only 30 times. This is because of our conditional logic case. Since x has been incremented by 2 after each loop, the loop only runs 30 times since x goes above 60 on the 30th pass. Another quite interesting thing about for loops is that all the statements are optional. If we create another one with 2 semicolons, you'll see that we receive no errors. This is another infinite loop case since there's no way for the loop to exit. The final type of loop is called a Foreach loop. But before we take a look at that, I want to talk to you about jump statements. Jump statements, as the name suggests, allow program control to jump to another section of the program. We've already seen this when we use the return statement, but now I want to talk to you about 2 others that can be used within loops. They are the break statement and the continue statement. Let's look at the break statement first. According to the Microsoft docs, the break statement terminates the closest enclosing loop or switch statement in which it appears. Control is passed to the statement that follows the terminated statement, if any. This statement can be used to break out of a loop. So for example, if I use the break statement inside our infinite for loop, the code will jump out of the loop and prevent us from freezing the program. Save, head back into Unity, and rerun the game. And you'll see that our infinite for loop string is logged once, meaning our break statement caused the code to exit the loop. You can also use the break statement within if statements too, yes. Here I want to break out of the loop when the number variable is greater than 100. Saving and rerunning will cause the infinite for loop string to log 51 times. Fairly straightforward is, so now let's move on to the continue statement. According to the Microsoft docs, the continue statement passes control to the next iteration of the enclosing while, do, for, or for each statement in which it appears. As expected, the continue statement does exactly what its name would suggest. If I call the continue statement inside our infinite for loop and immediately log out a string, save, head back into Unity, and rerun the game, you'll see that our string never gets called, since the continue statement forces the loop to restart. Let's have a look at iterating over arrays. In the last video, the card is on your screen now in case you missed that Ace, we had a brief look at the different type of arrays in C#, but we didn't get to see how to apply changes to all the elements in an array. Well, using our loops we can do just that Ace. Let's see what it's like iterating over an array using the for loop. Here I'm declaring an array of ints called ints, and I'm also giving it the initial values of 1 to 9. Declare a for loop like before Ace. You'll notice that we can redeclare the variable I since it was declared in the other for loop scope. Now instead of the condition I less than 50, we're going to access the length property of the array. So I less than ints.length. Since our array has a length of 9, our loop will repeat 9 times. Extremely easy, I know Ace. But here is where the true power of loops shines through. We can change the array with respect to I like so. Here I'm accessing the index at I, which will be 0 to 8, and I'm multiplying the value at the index by I. Finally, I'm logging out the value at index I just to see its results. Save, head back into Unity, and rerun the game. And the respective values at the I indexes are logged. Okay, let's check out the final loop type, the Foreach loop. According to the Microsoft Docs, the Foreach loop repeats a group of embedded statements for each element in an array or an object collection that implements the system.collection IEnumerable or system.collection.generic IEnumerable of type T interface. The Foreach statement is used to iterate through the collection to get the information that you want, but cannot be used to add or remove items from the source collection to avoid unpredictable side effects. If you need to add or remove items from the source collection, use a for loop. The embedded statements continue to execute for each element in the array or collection. After the iteration has been completed for all the elements in the collection, control is transferred to the next statement following the for each block. Okay, let's create another array of ints called ints2 with the same initial values of the ints array. To declare a Foreach loop, we type out the Foreach keyword and then open our brackets. Next, we declare the variable to store the current value of our array. We need to give this variable the same type as our array holds, so int in this case is, and give it a name. Now we type out the keyword in and follow it with our ints2 array. Close our bracket, then open and close our curly braces. Do you see the way this reads, Ace? For each myInt in ints2. I mean, could it be any easier? Now, there's a bit of an issue when using value types with the Foreach loop. While we can access the data held in the array, we cannot change that data the same way we did with the for loop. So for example, if I attempt to multiply myInt by 2, we get the error for each iteration variable myInt is immutable. The assignment target must be an assignable variable, property, or indexer. We can multiply myInt by 2 and log out the result that way, but the value in our ints2 array will remain unchanged. Now yes, you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's completely pointless. Why would anyone use a Foreach loop if they can't change anything? Well, you can use it if you want to simply use the values of the array for another purpose, or you can use it to change properties and fields of reference types. Here I'm creating a basic class with a public int property. So now if we create an array of basic class 17s, call it class 17s and give it some initial values, any calculations we carry out on the myInt properties can be changed. Save and rerun. And hey, all our myInt properties are logged correctly. This has been a fairly extensive run through of loops. And that's it. Rate, comment and subscribe, Ace. Thank you so much for 500 plus subs. It really means the world to me. You can email me at retrotk2@gmail.com with any questions about loops. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.